The black dog arrived years before the baby. Shadow had been part of the house long before the crib, the milk bottles, and the soft toys scattered across the floor. He knew every routine, every quiet hour, every corner where the afternoon sun rested. He wasn't a loud dog. He wasn't playful either. He was just calm, observant, almost serious. When people saw him, a large black dog with deep eyes and slow movements, they often felt a little unsure. They assumed things that weren't true, but Shadow had never been aggressive. He simply watched the world instead of rushing through it. So when baby Lily was born, no one knew how Shadow would react. The house, once so quiet, suddenly filled with new sounds, tiny cries in the middle of the night, the hurried footsteps of exhausted parents, the whispered words of comfort. Through all of it, Shadow didn't rush forward. He didn't bark or show any real excitement. He just stayed back. From the corner of the room, he would observe the tiny baby in her mother's arms. Something about her presence had shifted the air in the house. It wasn't danger. It wasn't fear. It was just a new, unfamiliar kind of importance. Those first few weeks, Lily cried often. It was a sound Shadow didn't particularly like, but he never left the room. He sat through it patiently, his ears tilted, his eyes focused, as if he was listening to something only he could understand. Lily's mother, Maya, noticed everything. Some nights, she'd be on the couch, rocking the baby, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. And without fail, Shadow would lie nearby, his body turned towards them, his breathing slow and steady. A quiet, reassuring presence. She never had to tell him to stay. He just did. Days turned into weeks. Lily began to open her eyes for longer periods, taking in the world around her. She noticed the shapes, the light, the movement. And slowly she started to notice Shadow. Her little gaze would follow him whenever he crossed the room. When he sat down, she stared. When he lay down, she grew quiet, her attention fixed on the big, dark shape. Maya watched all of this carefully, always alert, always cautious. But Shadow never crossed the invisible line between curiosity and getting too close. Until one quiet afternoon, Lily was lying on a soft blanket near the window, her tiny fingers opening and closing in the air. Shadow approached slowly, every movement deliberate and gentle. He lay down beside her, not touching, just close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her small body. Lily turned her head. For the first time their eyes met. And she smiled. Not the kind of big, obvious smile adults look for, but that soft, instinctive one that happens without thought. In response, Shadow lowered his head slightly, resting his chin on the floor. From that single moment, something gentle and beautiful began to grow between them. Shadow learned to read Lily's moods. He knew when she was calm, when she was tired, when she just needed quiet. He adjusted his entire world around her presence, always careful, always respectful of her space. And Lily learned that Shadow's presence meant stillness and peace. When he was near, she cried less, her breathing slowed down. Her little body relaxed. Maya didn't tell anyone about it at first. The bond felt too fragile, too private to be shared. As the months passed, Lily grew stronger. She learned to roll over, then to sit up, and finally, to crawl. Shadow moved carefully around her, adjusting his steps, patiently waiting whenever she got in his way, never rushing her. The first time Lily crawled toward him, her movements clumsy but determined, Shadow remained perfectly still. She reached his paw and touched it gently, her fingers full of innocent curiosity. Shadow didn't flinch. He just stayed there, a calm and steady anchor, allowing trust to form naturally on its own terms. Years passed by quietly. Shadow's muzzle began to show flecks of gray. His steps grew a little slower. His naps in the sun grew a little longer. But one thing never changed his place near Lily. He wasn't guarding her in the traditional sense. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just staying, being with her. When Lily said her first real word, it wasn't mama or dada. It was Shaw. Maya cried that day, a mix of happy and bittersweet tears she couldn't quite explain. By the time Lily learned to walk, Shadow's body had changed even more. He couldn't follow her on all her little adventures around the house anymore. Sometimes he would have to stay behind, watching her from a distance, his eyes gentle but tired. Lily noticed. She would often leave her toys waiting across the room and return to sit beside him. She'd lean against his warm side, hold his soft ear between her fingers, and talk to him in soft, happy sounds that only he seemed to truly listen to. And Shadow listened, every single time. Then one winter morning, Shadow didn't come to the kitchen for his breakfast. The house felt wrong instantly. The quiet was different. Maya found him lying peacefully in his favorite corner by the window, his body still, his eyes closed. Shadow was gone. Lily didn't cry when they explained what happened, as best as they could to a child so young. She didn't fully understand the concept of loss yet, but she felt the absence. The empty space. That night, she walked slowly over to Shadow's spot and sat down on the floor. She placed her small hand on the wooden planks where he used to rest his head. She remembers, Maya whispered to her husband. Years later, Lily would grow up hearing stories about Shadow. Not as a hero who saved the day, or as a guardian who fought off danger, but as something far more honest and real. A presence, a companion. A quiet, constant love that never asked for anything in return. And long after Shadow was gone, Maya swore she could still feel that sense of calm in the house, the kind of peace that stays when love was real, quiet, and patient. Some bonds aren't loud. Some love doesn't come with a dramatic rescue. Some relationships don't need a big, flashy ending to be completely unforgettable. Sometimes the deepest connection of all is simply the one that stays. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.